Hey guys, Mr. Mills is here. Today we're going to talk about mid-segments. At the end of this video, you should be able to explain what a mid-segment is and give it special properties. You should also be able to use mid-segments to find missing measures. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, so a mid-segment is a segment connecting the midpoints of two sides. Okay, in this diagram we can see that XY is a mid-segment. Okay, we know this because we see that X is a midpoint of PM, shown by the hashes, and Y is a midpoint of PN, shown by the hashes. X and Y are midpoints. So that makes XY a mid-segment. Alright. Second spot says, is DE a mid-segment, why or why not? The answer for that is no, it is not a mid-segment. Notice that we have DE. It looks like it's in between AC and in between AB, but there's no indication that D and E are midpoints. So we can't say that that's a mid-segment. All right, so let's talk about some the triangle mid-segment theorem. Okay, if a triangle has a mid-segment, then it is parallel to the third side. Parallel to the third side, and is half the length of the third side. Okay, another way of saying this is the third side is double the length of the mid-segment. Okay, so let's look at this problem. They want us to find the value of x. Or they want us to find the value of DE. The length of DE, value of x, we need to find that to find the length of DE. Okay, so what is the length of DE? Well, we can see that BC is a mid-segment. Again, they tell us that B is a midpoint and C is a midpoint. And so since we know that that's 6, that will help us to find this. We can say, okay, a mid-segment is half of the third side, or the third side is twice as large as the mid-segment. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 2 times the mid-segment equals that third side, x minus 1. So x minus 1 is 12, and that makes x 13. Oops, sorry. X minus 1 is 12. So there we go. We found the length of what DE should be. Okay, and then we use that information to find out what x was. Okay, this has to be double the mid-segment, and then since we know that DE is 12, we can use that information in order to solve for x. Flipping to the back side, looking at a few more examples here. It says find the value of x given that AY equals AX and BY equals BZ. So AY equals AX, BY equals BZ. This is really just another way to say, hey, we have midpoints. A is a midpoint, B is a midpoint. So AB is a mid-segment. Again, we're using the same information that we know that AB is half of 34. Okay, because it's the mid-segment. So we can either say that 3x minus 1 is half of 34, or 17. And that's really enough information for us to solve this. Add 1 to both sides. 3x will equal 18. Divide by 3. X will equal 6. So they wanted us to find the value of x. We've got to make sure they're not asking us for AB. They want us to find the value of x. X is 6. Okay, and that's from knowing that that mid-segment is half the length of the third side is parallel to. All right. The next example says find the perimeter of ABC given that D, E, and F are midpoints. So here, D, E, and F are midpoints. They told us that, so no more thinking about that. But now that allows us to know that we have midsegments. Okay, again, our midsegments are parallel to the third side and half its length. So DE corresponds to the side that is parallel to. Okay, if DE is 8, we know that AB is 16. I'm going to try to use different colors. I only have 2. Oh, I got 3. Okay. If FE is 7, then its corresponding side will be 14. Okay, if DF is 3, then its corresponding side, CB, would be 6, double that. So again, the midsegment is half the length of its corresponding parallel side. And so we have it that the perimeter of ABC should be 14 plus 6, that's 20, plus 16, which is 36. Okay, so that's our perimeter. How does the perimeter of ABC compare to the perimeter of DEF? Well, if you think about it, all the sides for ABC are double the sides of DEF. So the perimeter should be twice as large. Okay. And so you look at that, we see the perimeter of ABC is 36, the perimeter of DEF, 8 plus 3 is 11, plus 7 is 18. So 18 to 36, this is how they compare. The perimeter of triangle ABC is twice as large, 2 times as large. A little quicker. Okay. All right. For the next example, find the values of the variables. So here we're trying to find what x is. See, we have midpoints as given to us by these hashes. So since x is here, it corresponds with its parallel side, which is 28. So x should be half of that, which is 14. Okay, with y, we see that y plus 6 equals, well, since this side's 15, this side should be 30. So y plus 6 equals 30. That means that y should be 24. Okay. Next side, we have number 2 says the line is a midsegment. They want us to find x and y. Again, this is a midsegment, so it should be half the distance or half the length of 4x plus minus 2. Or in other words, 2 times x plus 4 should equal 4x minus 2. So 2x plus 8 equals 4x minus 2. Gives us 2x equals 10. And we can find that x is 5. Okay, given the fact that they told us that this is a midsegment, what we know is that this point is a midpoint. And so these two should be equal to each other. So in order to solve for y, we can say 4y equals 6y minus 1. So 4y equals 6y minus 6. 2y equals 6. And that means y is 3. All right, final question here. It says, what is the value, or what is the measure of angle VUT given that V and U are midpoints? So V and U are midpoints. That means that this is a midsegment. Okay. All right, so we want to make sure we use that first property of midsegments, that midsegments are parallel to the third side. Okay. And so when we have parallel lines and angles, we should be thinking of corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, and seeing what we can use there. So they're asking us for VUT, this angle, and I know that I have corresponding angles here. Okay, VUT should be the same as angle SRT. And so I can find that out pretty quickly. 81 plus 32, that gives us 113. A whole triangle should have 180, and so that leaves us with 67 degrees here. Okay, so if this is 67 degrees, then this should be 67 degrees. And so the measure of angle VUT is 67 degrees. Use corresponding angles and the triangle angle sum theorem. Triangle angle sum theorem. Alright. Okay, so there you have it. There's mid segments. Hopefully you know the properties and how to use them to find missing values. See ya.